So in today's video, I'm talking about the best metal albums of November. This is week number 3. I only have 4 albums because we got like 4 really good albums. I mean, these are like all like 8 and above. So as always, I divide the video into chapters, so feel free to jump ahead to the band you want to hear about. So with that being said, let's get right to the first album. So the first band is called Threshold. The album is called Dividing Lines, released on Nuclear Blast Records. And they are a progressive metal band. And this is album number 13, so they've been around for a long time. So this band was recommended to me by the Green Man channel. They're progressive metal, very similar to Dream Theater. I had never heard of them before this album. Like I said, they've been around a long time, since like the early 90s. I don't know, maybe they're more popular in the UK, that's where they're from. But this album actually surprised me. It's very good. I enjoyed it a lot. Songs are very catchy. Some songs have that like Dream Theater sound with like those like keyboards, and in general the album is just very memorable. So it's not a full concept album, but it does have this recurring theme of like the future of society. So as always, I choose 2 songs. The first song I choose is Haunted. This is the first song I heard from them, the first song on the album. It sounds like metalcore or new metal at first, but the verse kicks in. It's just like very melodic. The vocals are just very clean, very melodic. The chorus is very memorable, and it has like a very like kind of like a catchy line. They say like, "What doesn't kill you leaves you haunted." I thought that's kind of like pretty cool, and it has like some nice like guitar sounds. You got palm muted riffs; those sound very good. There's a breakdown where you get a little more atmospheric. You hear like guitar, like clean guitars, bass notes, and like the guitar solo, which is a little more like slower, more melodic, but it keeps with the overall tone of the song and the album. Drums are really good. They're just like top notch. Really, the playing is really good, and this is the one song that has been like stuck in my head like these past couple of days. It's just super catchy, and one of my like favorite songs of maybe the year. So anyway. Song number 2 is Complex. This is a little more futuristic. It appears like heavy at first, but it has a lot of like Dream Theater style, the sounds and keyboards. A little faster, the vocals are a little more aggressive. And they have these like Deep Purple style like organ sound. Very melodic, and it's still heavy. You got some isolated guitar riffs, and the lyrics are in line with the overall tone of the album. Talking about the future and technology. The overall tone is very futuristic. Has electronic sounds, these prog rock keyboards, and that's pretty good. So overall, it's a very good album. It's just like very accessible. I mean, it's really good. My score, 8.5 out of 10. Next band is Tallah with The Generation of Danger. This is released on Earache Records. This is new metal, and this is their second album. So it's this band that's been getting a lot of buzz in the metal community. They're kind of like leaders of like this new metal revival. The band is from Pennsylvania in the U.S. and it features Max Portnoy, son of Mike Portnoy, and he plays drums. Now, upon first listen, I wasn't like super impressed with the band. They kind of like sounded very like noisy to me at first, but after the second listen, I started to get into them. I guess they have kind of like in Slipknot Iowa album, that kind of sound, mixing some Korn, some Deftones, and some like Lorna Shore deathcore. That's kind of how I describe them. They're very heavy. It's not like Linkin Park new metal, but nothing that would have been played on the radio 20 years ago. The singer does have moments where he sounds like Chester Bennington, but overall, it's an album that like everybody's saying is like the greatest album ever. It's very good for me. Maybe it'll grow on me after more listens. But I chose the 2 best songs. So the first song, The Impressionist. This one stood out for me because it sounds a lot like Slipknot. It has these heavy, down-tuned riff, fast drum beat, and overall energetic feeling. The guitar riffs have that kind of like a deathcore, mathcore kind of sound. The vocals reminded me of like Corey Taylor doing like one of like the heavier Slipknot songs. Got some drum interludes, some distorted bass, and just very like a frenetic, energetic song. And the second song I chose was called Telescope, and it's kind of strange. It kind of starts with a distorted voice, but then the song kicks in, comes right out the gate. Vocals are very brutal. They use some like low gutturals, and the guitar riffs are played with some like odd time signatures. They have like some slight elements of rap, but it doesn't really like overpower the song. And this is the one song that has like that like Lorna Shore style breakdown with it gets like very quiet and has these like low gutturals and lots of like deathcore influence in this one as well. The sound is just very big and overall on the album, like the sound is very big and I think that's what fans like about this band. And the song actually ends with like this like trippy psychedelic keyboard outro, kind of weird but kind of cool. So this is a band I know like everybody loves this album. For me, it's very good. So my score is going to be an 8 out of 10. Next is the band called 16. The album is Into Dust, released on Relapse Records, and this is sludge metal. And another band, I've never heard of them, but they've been around for a while. This is album number 9. So they've been around since the early 90s. The album was a surprise for me. They have like this 90s sound, kind of like Corrosion of Conformity. Kind of like I recently, in another video, talked about the album Blind. Some songs reminded me of that, but then other songs reminded me of like Helmet or like Crowbar. So I chose 2 songs. Ash in the Hourglass. This one's just very heavy. Just comes out right out the gate, crushing riffs. It's aggressive, melodic vocals. It's not slow, but it does kind of move at a good pace. I mean, these songs are kind of like, sludge metal. They tend to be kind of slow, but this is not very slow. The lyrics are very well written, and it's about somebody with like so much anxiety they never leave home, or at least that's my interpretation of the lyrics. The solo is very melodic. It just brings back a sound of like that early like 70s hard rock. So this is a good one. But I think the one, maybe my favorite song was called Dirt in Your Mouth. And I chose the song, the intro reminded me of like Alice in Chains, and I saw the title, it says Dirt, and it kind of like made that connection. I'm thinking of like one of like the heavier songs on Dirt, on like the front of the album. There's just the opening guitar riff. It's just very heavy and grungy. The song is like a little slower, but it's heavy. The vocals are just very aggressive, but also like melodic, and just lots of thick, crunchy riffs and a thick, distorted guitar tone. Just lots of guitar on this song and this album in general. So this one is very good, and this one is probably one of the best of the week. So my final score is an 8.5 out of 10. I have one more band, and they're called Gaupa. The album is called Myriad, released on Nuclear Blast Records, and this is psychedelic doom or stoner metal or rock, or at least that's the label they give them, because for me it sounded more like 90s alternative. So this band, they're from Sweden, one of my like favorite countries for like metal and bands in general. They have a female vocalist, and she kind of reminds me of the singer of like Garbage or one of those bands from the 90s. It was a surprise for me because I went into it expecting like something like stoner doom, and it was something else, but that's not a bad thing. I thought it was really good. It's not a long album, 8 songs, 36 minutes, so it's a good length. So the album is called, actually the song is called, the band is called Gaupa, and that means links in Swedish. So you can see that on the cover, that the links on there. So I chose 2 songs. The first one, Exoskeleton, the opening track, lots of feedback, grungy guitars, similar to something like Nirvana. But the vocals reminded me of like either Garbage or like the Cranberries. The music is heavy, has like this 90s rock feel. The song has a very like hard driving sound with a lot of energy. And the second song I chose is called Diametrical Enchantress. So this one is a little more laid back, has a slower pace. The opening riff is very grungy, has a sound right out of the 90s. The song has kind of like a Nirvana heart-shaped box feel to it. The guitar solo is just noise rock with distortion and feedback, and it's very catchy. It's a good album if you like the 90s band. So this one is very solid. My score, 8 out of 10. So that is all. I'm not sure. Actually, there are some more releases coming up for the end of the year. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue the series. I probably will, a couple more episodes. But anyway, that is all, and see you in the next one.